And I know that during the Marriage and Money Tour, there were a lot of questions people had around interest rate rises and the pressure on their finances. Let's just make reference to a listener question here. Ronald, and just to précis the sorts of things that he was requesting some insight on, a small amount left on his home loan. Should I take money out of super and pay off my home loan? Not everybody's even in that sort of position, but what are your thoughts here for Ronald?
Yeah, look, it's a question that does come up from time to time. And so best way to answer is, obviously we can't give advice on air, but what we can do is just give the pros and cons here. So people have got to remember what super is for. And of course it's for retirement, but it's also it's a low tax environment. Your money out of super, you're taking it out of an environment that has 15% tax when you're working and 0% when you're retired. So it has a potential negative consequence over the long term if you have that money outside of super. The flip side, and I know Ronald in his email mentioned to us that he was 65 and therefore thinking, oh, he wants to clear his mortgage, which I can completely understand. So the positive, though, of taking it out of super is you have the absolute certainty of the debt being repaid. Okay, because if you think about your options, you can have your money invested and therefore be subject to markets going up and down. And, Ronald made some comments about some of the challenges in the world at the moment, particularly geopolitical activity that's, simmering, versus the absolute certainty of debt repayment. Because once you pay off the debt, it's gone. And therefore, that's a serious benefit and may give people a lot of peace of mind. It's a hard question to answer directly without knowing someone's true circumstances, their income needs, and a range of other factors. But it's important that you just understand the consequence. So positive, yep, absolutely, the debt's cleared, and you have that certainty versus the uncertainty of investment. But you're taking your money out of a low tax environment, which has lots of long-term benefits for you. Just the other part of his question, though, was around fixed loans versus variable. And one of the key things he wanted to know here is, should he essentially repay the fixed loan? Now, generally, most banks will penalise you. It's what we call break costs if you repay the fixed portion of your loan. So what you need to do before you do that is you always ring the bank and say, if I was to pay out the fixed portion of the loan, what would be the fees? What is the break cost for doing that? And the bank will give you a quote saying this is what it's going to cost you, and then you can make a decision as to whether it's worthwhile or not. Because at the end of the day, it's just a numbers game, and you want to come up with the most favourable numbers in your favour. So important thing to just be careful with fixed loans, because often they do come with penalties when you repay them.